When you build software that has to make decisions, you eventually face a choice. Do you write the rules yourself, or do you let an AI figure it out? That's the heart of AI agents versus rule-based systems. In the next few minutes, I'll give you a practical guide to choosing how your software decides with a clear comparison, a worked example, and a simple rule of thumb. Let's start with the core distinction, because everything else follows from it. The single biggest difference is who decides what to do next. In a rule-based system, the developer decides the entire decision tree in advance. The mindset is, I tell the software exactly what to do. With an AI agent, a model reasons and decides dynamically at runtime. The mindset shifts to, I tell the software what outcome I want and give it tools and boundaries to figure out how. Same job, two very different philosophies of control. Here's how the two stack up across the dimensions that matter. On decision making, rule-based runs on predefined rules, while an agent reasons dynamically. The logic goes from a rigid if X then Y to goal, reason, act. Rule-based workflows are mostly fixed and handle new situations poorly unless a rule already exists. Agents adapt using context. Tools get called only when the code says so, whereas the agent chooses the tool itself. Natural language is limited for rules, but a core strength for agents. The trade-offs: rule-based systems are highly predictable, easy to explain, low cost, and fast, but the rules grow tangled over time. Agents are less predictable, harder to explain, cost more in tokens, and run slower. And instead of rules, you manage prompts and guardrails. The bottom line: rules are best for known, deterministic tasks, agents for ambiguous, changing ones. Let's ground this in a real scenario. A system that processes customer requests. Take a refund request and follow it to resolution. Both approaches reach the same destination, but they travel very different paths. The rule-based route is a clean, fixed pipeline. Check order status, verify eligibility, process refund, send confirmation. Every step laid out in advance. The agent route is more fluid. Analyze customer sentiment, determine intent, find the best solution, draft a response. Same start, same end, but one path is predetermined and the other is worked out on the fly. Here's the rule-based approach in code. If the request is a refund and the item was purchased within 14 days and the condition is damaged, execute a full refund. Else, if the condition is used, reject the refund as a policy violation, and if none of that applies, escalate to a human agent. Notice what's happening. The developer writes a fixed decision tree, and every branch is decided ahead of time. The takeaway is that the entire path is hard-coded before anything runs. There's no room for interpretation, which is exactly the point when you want predictability. Now the same problem, handled by an agent. The goal is simply resolve the customer's request. The input is natural language. I bought this 2 weeks ago, but it arrived damaged. Can I get my money back? From there, the agent understands the request, checks order information, looks up the refund policy, determines the appropriate action, and then either calls the refund tool or asks for more information before responding to the customer. The key takeaway: you define the goal, the tools, the permissions, and the constraints, and the agent determines part of the path at runtime. You're setting boundaries, not scripting every step. So when should you reach for rule-based systems? Use them when the logic is clear and predictable behavior matters. Think calculations, where you need exact and repeatable results, validation of inputs and data, approval thresholds, access control, where getting it wrong is a security risk, billing rules that must be precise, and compliance checks, where the requirements are fixed and auditable. In all of these, you want the same input to always produce the same output, and that's exactly what rules give you. Agents earn their place when the system has to handle open-endedness. Use them when you need to interpret natural language, deal with ambiguity, or select among multiple tools depending on the situation. They shine when a task requires planning multiple steps, and most importantly, when you have to respond to situations you simply can't enumerate in advance. If you can't write down every case ahead of time, that's the signal that a rigid rule set will fail, and an agent's flexibility is worth the trade-offs. Here's the part most people miss. In production, the strongest design usually combines both. It works in phases. Phase 1 is the agent reasoning through the messy, contextual part. For example, concluding, this customer qualifies for a refund based on context. It hands off a structured decision like action refund, amount full. Phase 2 is deterministic code that verifies the user has permission and validates policy compliance, the guarantees, and phase 3 is execution. So the agent supplies flexibility and the rules supply guarantees. You get judgment where you need it and certainty where it counts. So here's the whole thing in one line. Flexibility from the agent plus guarantees from the rules equals the best systems. Remember the shorthand. Rule-based means exact instructions. An AI agent means a desired outcome, plus tools, plus boundaries, and the strongest systems use both working together. Don't think of it as agents versus rules. Think of it as knowing which one to reach for and when to combine them. Thanks for watching.